It has one of the best preserved cemeteries in Charleston, and I think they said there were like 50 graves from the 1680s and 150 graves from pre-Revolutionary War,
Yep.
so pre-1770.
Tavern at Rainbow Road has been serving Charleston since 1686. It is the oldest liquor store in the country. It's located at 120 East Bay Street, next door to the Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon. Thank you.
Alright guys, so South Carolina's oldest public building, the Powder Magazine. We're gonna go check this out. Alright guys, so we are in the Gunpowder Museum, oldest public building in the state of Carolina. This is where they kept the gunpowder. It's called the Powder Magazine, but it's just got a little museum that has different informational panels, displays, military artifacts. So just gonna kind of check it out. All right, y'all, we are in the cemetery behind the Circular Church here in Charleston. So the Circular Church was the first non-state sanctioned church here in Charleston. It is actually was called a meeting house because unless you were state sanctioned religion, you couldn't be called a church. It has one of the best preserved cemeteries in Charleston, and I think they said there were like 50 graves from the 1680s and 150 graves from pre-Revolutionary War,
Yep.
so pre-1770s. We found a couple of 1700 ones. I don't know that we've seen any 1600 ones yet, but you know,
Some of them it's kind of hard to read the dates.
as weird as it may seem, we love checking out old cemeteries like this and checking out the histories.
Completed in 1771, the Old Exchange Building is a Charleston landmark and the site of some of the most important events in South Carolina history. Previously a meeting place for local patriots, the Exchange in 1788 hosted South Carolina leaders as they debated and approved the U.S. Constitution. Today, the Old Exchange Building is one of the only 4 structures remaining where the nation's founding document was originally ratified. During the American Revolution, British forces converted the bottom floor of the exchange into a military prison known as the Provost, or dungeon. American prisoners of war, British soldiers, private citizens, and enslaved people all endured its harsh confines.
All right, guys, so this is, if you can read that sign there, this is an old fire station for the German Fire Company. You can see I think it says 1831 on there. In Charleston, you would buy insurance, and there was, I don't know, 4 or 5 different companies that offered fire insurance, and you'd get a plaque and hang it on the outside of your house. Now, what would happen is, let's say your house was on fire and this fire truck happened to go by, but you didn't have their plaque on your house, they just keep driving.
Yeah, so you're out of luck.
Yeah, but if you had the German Fire Company insurance plaque on your house, then they would stop and put out the fire. So there was about 4 or 5 of them that around town, and this was one of them that's still standing that you could buy insurance from, and you know, they'd protect your house from fire. Established in 1804, the Charleston City Market houses scores of talented artists and craftspeople selling authentic Charleston souvenirs and collectibles. The Charleston City Market is one of the nation's oldest public markets and the cultural heart of Charleston. It's home to over 300 vendors and open every day of the year except for December 25th. Unfortunately for us, the market was closed due to COVID-19, but we still highly recommend it's somewhere that you go. With more than 50 resident Gula artisans, the Charleston City Market is the very epicenter of sweetgrass basketry, one of the nation's oldest and most beautiful handicrafts of African origin. Oh, were you just taking a picture? I thought we were talking.
We are talking, it's on.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's recording.
Okay. All right, guys. So we are in the graveyard behind the circular church here in Savannah.